hating on a player. Same ones counting me out, they're gonna pay up. Look, my money stacked up high Himalayas. When I walk by, look a fly all layers. Hey now, don't go hating on a player. Same ones counting me out, they're gonna pay up. Look, my money stacked up high Himalayas. When I walk by, look a fly all layers.
Whenever you're ready to get started, man, we'll get started.
I'm ready.
All right. So this is a special edition of I-Konick Interviews for Thanksgiving here. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We got the man, the myth, the shout-out legend, Tony G. Pretty much every artist that's come on I-Konick Interviews has shouted him out. So how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Blessed and alive. Can't complain.
Yeah. Good to hear. So I'm curious, who is Tony G? Not necessarily the person. I mean, we'll get into that, but I want to know behind the name. Where did that come from? Because I know you weren't Tony G the whole time.
Right.
I can't recall what you were prior. I think it was just Antonio Garcia. I think you were going by, and then you switched to Tony G.
Yeah. So if you want to know just about the name, I can tell you the name, and then we can go from there and expand. Okay.
Sounds good. Yep.
So the name Tony G, right? So it is pronounced Tony G. Just to clear up the rumors, everybody says, is it TNYG or what is it? You can say TNYG if you want, but it is pronounced Tony G. The reason why it's spelled TNYG, the main reason is for the search engine optimization, right? When you look up TONY space G, you'll find a billion other people that have the same kind of name, whether it's Gonzalez, Garcia, or whatever it is, right? With Antonio or Anthony. And that's a lot of the Hispanic culture is Tony P, Tony G, Tony Z, all that stuff, right? So I said, you know what? How bad would it be to get a notepad and then just like write out, okay, does TNYG work? I'm like, yeah, it's TNYG. It looks cool because it's only 4. And I'm not sure if you're into like numerology, but the number 4 when it comes to like logos and symbols is very strong. It's like the color blue would be for like royalty, right? So 4s and 8s are good for symbolism of power. And so beyond that, when I wrote down TNYG, I was like, it would be so cool if it was an acronym. So then I wrote down, okay, T, and then what starts with T? All right, talent, and then this one, this now that, and then it came out with talent naturally yields greatness. So that's what the acronym version of it is, but it is pronounced Tony G. Before that, it was Tony space G. And then before that, for the OGs that's been around on my page for a long time, it was Tonic Tone. That's the old one. I don't think anybody knows that. It was Tonic Tone. And then it was Tony G. And then it's still Tony G, but I dropped the O. I took the odds out. I dropped the O. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Okay. That's a nice little gem you dropped there on everybody. Hell yeah. Tonic Tone. Crazy.
Tonic Tone.
I like the acronym style, like how you got it where it fits your name. It's an acronym, short and simple. It's reminds me of like the whole in threes, where if somebody sees something in threes, like it sticks to your brain.
Right. So, yeah, it sure does.
What got you into music? Like, is there a defining moment, a day, a song, an album, something that like just triggered it?
So I think with pretty much everybody, it is a culmination of a whole bunch of different things: environmental, social, with friends, and then just music in general, playing around the household. I remember not growing up on hip hop, not growing up on rap or any of that stuff until later on in life. I mean, I was listening to classical music to go to sleep, opera, classical music, country, pop, R&B, jazz, blues. I grew up on that kind of musical ear. That was what I gravitated towards as a kid, especially growing up. My household is broken up. So my mother is Caucasian and my father is Hispanic. So I would have like corridos on one household, and then I would have like country on the other one, pretty much, right? That's how diverse it was. But there was, I'm not sure if you know this artist's name, Immortal Technique.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So one of my good friends, Jose Gudino, I used to call him Tap Out because he would wear like Tap Out merch, like all the
Oh
time
yeah,
as
I
a
remember
kid.
that.
hmm
Phase.
So he would wear everything. So I was like, Jose Tap Out, and he would like show me all the different raps and stuff. And he showed me Immortal Technique. I think it was Internally Bleeding and some other ones that he showed me. And
Oh,
I went home and I studied the song and like the lyrics and back then I didn't know. I mean, I was probably the ages between like 12 and 13 or something like that, like roughly around like sixth, seventh grade or something like that. Or I'm not sure what the grade was, but it was right around there. And
for sure.
I went home and I studied that. And then like I think it was like the week after that or a month later, they were actually teaching Dancing with the Devil, the song that he has, Immortal Technique,
Yeah.
in school in like English class. They were like they had a printout of the song and they passed it around class and we're supposed to highlight parts and like give it meaning. We're supposed to decipher pretty much his lyrics. So it was
Okay.
crazy that I just got put on to this artist, and then now in class they were showing us this song. I thought it was like a underground gem that nobody knew about kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So then I realized, wow, words are powerful. And I went home and I wrote my first little rap, which I'll share with you right now, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it. Let's check it out.
So it was too young to kill, pull the trigger, get your last meal, doing 25 to life. Now it's a done deal, still case. Your mind just won't erase the pain of the victim inside your head. You'll be asking why you killed him. And that's when I was like 12 or 13.
So dope that you still got it up there. Like, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Good memory.
for sure. That was
That's what's up.
the starting point. Now from there, I mean, everybody can start something, but there's a difference between starting and continuously going, continuously putting in that work. So from there, the next pivotal moment would be with my best friend, AJ, Adam. I met him at the bus stop. He was the first friend that I met here in Idaho. It was like September of 2010. And he was at the bus stop and he was like showing me different music. And ever since we bonded and built that friendship, he has always put me onto new music. I mean, without him, I wouldn't know maybe more than half of the artists that I know now.
Shit, okay.
Simply because I don't really listen to a lot of music. I don't really listen. I'm not a consumer of music and social media and stuff like that. I'm just a producer. I create. And then every now and then, maybe once every couple of years, I'll listen to albums like Kendrick Lamar's album and Drake's album, and whoever is dropping, I'll take it in. But I try to stay away from consuming too much other people's stuff. Besides the homies, I mean, I'll check out the homie stuff when they drop. I'll go check it out. You know, like I may not share it all the time because like I'm busy doing some like just like what I showed you right now. That's just my morning. Later on today, I had to press up merch, and I got to video edit more, and I have to produce, and I have to record, and I have to mix, and I have to master. So I don't really have a lot of time, but I mean, I am listening to everybody's stuff out there. You know, I got love for y'all.
Oh yeah! Shout out to the local scene, the local homies.
For sure.
No, I've noticed that's a pretty common theme with most like I don't know, I'm blanking on the word, but active artists, I guess we'll say. That they don't really consume as much of the media that's out there, simply maybe for influence reasons. They don't want to be influenced or things like that. So,
right.
Interesting to hear.
I think a lot of it, if I'm looking from the outside and without any bias or any kind of feeling towards it, because I don't harbor any negativity towards anybody in the scene at all. So
right.
when I see other people not consuming other people's content, I think it comes from a place of ego, or I'm better than this, so this doesn't deserve my attention, or scarcity where, well, if I give him a listen or if I give him a share, then I can't win, you know, because, you know, there's a lot of people that have scarcity, and that's a very real thing, and nothing against them for having that kind of mentality. But for me, I will consume my peers' music, not because I respect them, because I do respect them, but I'm not listening to them for that. I'm listening to it because they do have talent. because they have put in the work, and they are admirable for pursuing a passion that is creative, because creatives such as myself are all over the place all the time. Sometimes people deal with mental health issues. I'm thankful not to have to hold that burden on myself, but there's a lot of things that we're going through in general as humans, and being creative and expressing your art, whatever it is a beautiful thing. And if I was to call somebody else's music trash or whatever it is, that's my opinion from my perspective, and it's not valid. So even if I say it's great, take everything with a grain of salt, because if I say you're great and you're great because you're my homeboy and I appreciate you, you might not grow past that point. You might get a big head. Or if I say it's trash, you might get hurt, because maybe that's not what you're trying to listen to right now. But I do listen to people's music. I just don't express a lot of my opinions on it, just because, I want everybody to be, growing at their own pace,
Oh yeah, no, I feel you. But that brings me to your influences. I know you mentioned you kind of listen to everything, classical, country, and things like that. But I'm curious if you have specific artists. I'm guessing Immortal Technique would be one, since he was your first like rap side of it. I'm just curious on your art, like, let's say 5 main influences that you feel help shape your sound.
Okay. So I would say very early, yes, it would be Immortal Technique very early on, as far as the lyricism, the storytelling, and things of that nature. He has not been in my playlist since then. Like, I haven't listened to him hardly ever, like, in my life. And now that I've consumed so much music, early on, it would be Immortal Technique. Then it would be, since I was listening to mainstream music, I wasn't like an underground head, like always like going through, like digging in the crates or whatever. I was only fed what was on the radio. So what I would hear on the radio would be like a Ja Rule, 50 Cent, Eminem, things like that, very melodic. Great lyricism, great delivery, energy behind your words, that kind of stuff. That would be early. Bone Thugs and Harmony would be another huge one for me in my life. Still to this day, I got them in my playlist, just like on the first of the month for sure. That's easy. Just another one, right? No Surrender. I got a few of those fast-paced rappers in my catalog. But it would be those couple, and then as I aged, maybe from starting the age of like 16 or 17, then it was more of underground, like Nas, Rakim, Wu-Tang Clan. Then it just kind of dug deeper into, like, there's so many artists that I listen to that have helped shape me. But if I was to pick five that have really shaped who I am as an artist, and maybe even as a person in some sense, would be Bone Thugs and Harmony. It would be Eminem. It would be Drake for sure. Nas and J. Cole. Those would be the main 5 that have like been in my playlist over and over again throughout the years. I've watched their stories, documentaries, things like that. So that would be like a good 5 shape of my influence.
Okay, interesting. Oh yeah. Now, I know you edit, you produce, you record, you rap, right? Do you have any instruments that you play along your skills?
None, man. I got no instrumental bones in my body.
Fair. No, that's fair. I'm right there with you, man.
just by ear. That's my thing. I'll plug in some. I have a MIDI keyboard in front of me, but I don't really use it. I use just the laptop pretty much. So I use that, and then just my ear, and I'll tweak things. And most times my songs aren't always in key, as far as like, okay, this is going to be in B major. Now everything is in the same kind of like note and root note or whatever. I don't really follow that too much. Maybe for my autotune, I will like have a little bit of that in there. But
Gotcha.
yeah, it's kind of all over the place.
Hey, no, for sure. Some of that best music is made like that, just playing it by ear, hearing what registers for you.
Exactly.
That's what's up. I know you were born in California, correct? And
Yeah.
I'm curious on what it's like, because I know you spent some time there actually living there before you moved up here.
Hmm.
What it's like with like, was it a culture shock moving uh, scene wise?
Yeah. So I was born March 3rd, 1994, in Queen of Angels, which is in Hollywood, like right in
Okay.
Hollywood. But I grew up and it was on the. I always say East LA, Boyle Heights, because I was
Mm.
literally. I grew up on the street where it turned into one side or the other. So I was
Oh
always
shit.
in
Okay.
between like gangs and in between school districts and stuff like that. So I grew up in East LA / Boyle Heights, less than a mile away from El Pino, where they filmed Blood In, Blood Out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the whole thing, like the alleyway spider and then like bust the window and stuff. That's the street over from my street. Is the next street
Okay.
over?
Oh,
It's behind. It's currently behind like the GameStop, and there's a fire pizza place that's right there. And the murals that are on that wall, it's a constant thing. So being out there and seeing that culture of beautiful paintings and murals and the Latinos and the street vendors, whether it be with food or with like bootleg CDs out on the ground, like on a blanket, freaking
right.
all kinds of stuff going from that in a primary Latin community with hardly any Caucasians or African Americans coming here. It was like, what? I don't have to lock my door at night. I don't have to look over my shoulder all the time. I can go to the store, without worrying what time it is. Like things like that. That's what I noticed, like within the first couple of months of moving here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was
I'm
definitely.
sure it was nice not having to worry about your bike. I was checking out your Surface Wave interview.
Yeah.
So shout out to the Surface Wave podcast.
Yeah, dude. Fuck. Every single bike of mine was stolen.
Yeah, especially I was listening about the chopper one. That story was
Yeah,
that was.
that one still hurts right here, man.
I'm sorry about that. That's unfortunate. You have to make sure to get your child one for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Future. What would you say is your inspiration behind your music? Not like necessarily motivation, what drives you, but what sparks that fire in you to want to create? Like, is there a specific thing?
So not what motivates me to get up and do my thing, right? Because most of that is legacy and my future children and stuff like that I shared on the other podcast interview. But what drives me, right? Like your question is like, what makes you want to get behind this microphone and record a song, right? Is to be better than myself, be better than the last song. It's so crazy. I'm rereading this book. It's All in Your Head by Russ. And he has a part in there where he says, there's something inside of us where when we finish a song, after writing it, recording it, mixing, mastering, producing, the car test, all that stuff, and it's done, right? We feel it's done. We don't feel like, okay, that's it. I can give up now. Like, that's it. I made the best song ever. Like, instantly, as I finish the song, I'm like, okay, what's next? Like, how can I do it better next time? It's simply for that reason of like, why do I get on the microphone? Why do I go old school and write it down with pen and pad? Is because I want to be better than who I was a minute ago, 5 years ago, 5 months ago, 5 weeks ago. I just want to be better than myself. It's like a race. It's like, who's gonna win? Huh? Who's got better bars?
Yeah. Shit, yeah. That's a good drive. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite time of day to create?
I don't, because it's not like I sit down and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna search for beats, and then once a beat catches my ear, I'm gonna like write to it or whatever. It's all over the place, really. So I've tried to steer away from using anybody else's beats or doing it that way. So that way I'm forced to create my own sound and like figure it out. Right. In an interview was with Poons, I think he said that he knows what he's good at, so he's gonna just keep doing that. He's gonna delegate, like with producers and the people that mix and stuff like that. And that is great. That is exactly what he should be doing. And what most people should be doing. They should be delegating. Delegating is a good thing. But when it comes to what my mentality is telling me, what drives me inside is like, if I'm able to do it by myself, I'm self-sufficient. I keep the costs down. I am mastering myself. I'm about discipline and challenging myself, even if it might take me longer than the next guy to put out a song or whatever. I know that I had my hands all in that process, and that's a very recent thing. But if I was to pick a time that I would be the most creative, it would definitely be during the morning time, for sure.
Okay.
Early bird gets the worm,
Oh yeah, yeah. Between you, Poons, Mac Dillon, you guys are always up like 3:30, 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I know.
I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I see you guys. Good morning.
I straight up feel like Poons gets up the earliest. I think he gets up the earliest because I post like as soon as, well, I don't post as soon as I wake up most times, because if I end up posting around 4:30 because I get up, I stretch, I brush my teeth, I wash my face, I exfoliate, make sure my shit's looking good,
Yeah,
But then I'll make a post.
Yeah.
But I'll see like Poons like post like an hour before I post this. I'm like, this motherfucker's up at like 3:30. I gotta like get up earlier than them,
Yep. I know. One time I finally beat them awake between you, Poons, and Mac. I was finally, I think it was like 3 in the morning though that I had to post. And I was like, I finally beat you guys. No, definitely inspiration, motivation to, try to push.
Yeah, dude.
It's a little different situation with myself just because of the night shift job and everything. But yeah, definitely. It's definitely motivating to see you guys going hard like that. And it pushes me to like, hey, I got to keep up. Not necessarily in competition, but like, as a person, I feel it. I think you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and just to expand on that just a little bit more, for anybody that's watching this as we're doing this live or hears it on the podcast or whatever it is afterwards, just because me and a few other people that you see on your post are getting up early, and if that does not line up like with like how you're saying with your life because you work graveyard, don't beat yourself up that you're not up early in the morning. I mean, it works for me because it works for me in my life. But if it doesn't work for you, don't beat yourself up for getting up at 7, 8, 9, 10 in the morning, because that's how your life is structured right now. Now, if you want your life to be different, then that just requires different things, different set of circumstances. But not everybody can change their job right away. Not everybody can change the fact that they may have kids that they have to take to school or that keep them up early, keep them up late or whatever. Yep. So number one thing I want to make clear is don't beat yourself up because you see somebody else posting good morning at 4 when you're still at fucking work,
Yeah. Yeah, you just got to adjust to fit as necessary. I mean, it all just takes time and a little bit of sacrifice here and there.
Exactly.
Now, with the favorite time of day to create, we know it's morning. We talked about your inspiration. I am curious because recently you were on opening act. And I'm curious on how that was. Like, did you get to meet any of the other artists? Did you chop it up with any of them? I know you made it to, I believe, the semifinals.
Yeah,
like second place, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
How was that?
So I got so close, and when I realized that the momentum was slowing down, because it was a process of a couple of months of voting and stuff like that. So it was too much of an ask for me to continue pushing it to people that have been voting for me religiously. So then I stopped promoting it, and I reached out to the top artists. There was the top 5 artists. I reached out to them all, say, hey, You got this. To the ones that I believed in, like, hey, you got this. Not just trying to blow smoke up their ass. Just like, hey, you're dope. I see you. Best of luck. And then when I got down to the top 2, I did the same thing. But then I realized the person that was going to win, who actually ended up winning, had a lot of similarities with me. So then I reached out to her personally, and I'm in the process of working with her on something. And it was nice to see somebody who only had like 300 followers and like no Spotify, no SoundCloud make it to that stage. Whereas I think, okay, well, I got all this stuff in a row. Like I got this going on. I have good intentions. I'm the only one that's giving money back. With all that stuff going for me, I still didn't win, but I didn't let it discourage me. What I ended up doing is I made a note of all the people that I could on a list of like, okay, you guys voted for me. So mark my words, this at the turn of the year, I'm going to be doing a string of shows that I'm inviting all those people to come to on my dime. I'm gonna put the whole thing together, and I'm gonna invite everybody out because it's never been my intention to take. It's always been my intention to give. So I felt like a part of me was like, fuck, I let them down. Like, they believed in me so much, but instead of like dwelling in it, I said, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take action next year. I'm gonna make it right. So for y'all tapping in, I appreciate you guys voting. That was incredible. But don't think I forgot about you. I still got a list in my phone, and it's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. So that's how that went. That's how it was.
Okay, that's interesting to hear. Shout out to you, man, for doing that, for giving back to everybody. You're gonna put together those shows. Hopefully, everybody stays tuned in so they can make it out to those and support.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, but on another note, I'm sure like Joshua here says you didn't let us down, and I'm sure everybody feels like that. Like you made it to second for being late entry, like that. That's an amazing feat in itself. So props to you for that, man. Definitely next time, Conquest Day. Next time you got it for sure, you'll be first place next time. I feel.
Yeah, and this is for us, man. Like this is not about me. I mean, the way I see my life and how I move throughout this world is that, yes, I am the superstar. I am the main attraction in my life, but that does not mean that you guys aren't. Like you guys are the superstar. You guys are equal. So for me to lead with the intention of giving just reflects that you guys are what make this stuff possible. Yes, I can speak it into existence. I can believe it. I can work it. But if it's just me trying to push this train or like pull this train, I'll have no momentum. I won't be able to do it. It's too much. So I am grateful for everybody that says, like, like Josh and Conquest and everybody tapping in saying that, I didn't let them down, which I appreciate the words, and I got it next time. Without you guys, I can't do it. So it's important to support the scene. It's important to share, those things don't cost any money. Of course, if you guys want to spend money, cool, buy the merch or do whatever you guys want to do. But for me, I'm not asking for much. I'm just asking for some support and your time. Thank you guys for even watching. The 3 that are in here right now, shout out to you guys.
Yep.
You guys are awesome.
The 3 in the live and the rest later that check it out down the line.
Yeah, this is the before. There's going to be an after. This is the before.
Oh, yeah. So I'm curious, have you been solo your whole career? I know you mentioned in the Surface Wave interview that you started in music, I think about 13, 14, somewhere in there. So I'm just curious if you've been solo the whole time. Did you do any group projects? Like, did you try to start a group or anything like that?
Just like in full transparency, me and my best friend, we tried like rapping before I even came out to the scene. Like we tried doing like a little duo thing. His name was Tragedy, because there's AJ in the middle, like Tragedy. So he was supposed to be Tragedy. I was supposed to be Tonic Tone or whatever. So that was like, it was supposed to happen and never did. So that was one attempt. Another attempt would be with Wild Bunch. So Mac Dillon, I had a group like that was him, Tim Jones, Thurman, and then it was me as like the last edition. So we tried with Wild Bunch. That never like really progressed much from there as a unit, but individually, as you can see, Thurman and Mac Dillon and myself are still active in the scene. So we still grew, but we didn't grow together. And then another one would be with Show Love, Grow Love, which is with Superior One, a rhythm and rhyme. So that would have been Deceased and Dirty Shirt. And then Ace Flow, of course, the founder of that. So it would have been with those guys, but it wasn't like a group, like, oh, we're a group, we all make music together. It was just the movement. It still exists as far as it's slowed down, but it's more like show love, grow love. We show up to your shows. We're going to share your stuff, and that's how we grow together. It's not like I'm going to do this with the expectation of you guys doing the same thing for us. We're just going to lead by example in the community. So those were a couple of attempts that we tried to like make a group, but primarily solo artists, like all the way through, just because that's just how I am.
Fair, no, fair.
Yeah.
I think it works out typically the best, the solo act, honestly,
Yeah.
especially with yourself, like how you're trying to master everything, the whole process behind the creation. So that's dope.
Right. Yeah.
Just a random question. I'm curious, what would you say is the wildest experience or the craziest experience you've had throughout your music? Like a show that popped off or something.
I mean, you'll come across the typical like drunk girls and guys at the party or at the venue that like fight or whatever.
Yeah.
But I've never had any wild experiences that I was involved in music. I think primarily it's just what you think about, you bring about.
Yeah.
If you carry yourself with a certain energy, you're going to attract that back to you. So I haven't always been with that in mind, in my motion, but I have always had a certain poise about myself that has been just chill. Like I'm not like a guy to stir up violence and things like that. I mean, I'm not a pushover. I'm not going to be mistreated. I will definitely stand my ground and I will act accordingly to that, because I have that side about me too. But I'm not going to lead with that, because that's not the best thing to do. So no, I don't have any crazy experiences in the music journey.
That's good though. That's good. How would you define success as an artist?
Success as an artist in general, or success for me as the artist?
Success for you as the artist, and then if you want in general for an artist coming up, like how would you consider successful for them?
Okay, cool. So we'll start with me. Success for me as an artist is to cover a few things, is to be my faith in my music, right? My belief. So having like no self-doubt, right? So my faith, my family, so my ability to balance my work and my life, and obviously my love life and stuff like that lines up too. My finances, the financial success of it, so like the financial freedom, because if you are financially struggling, it's very hard to create. And my freedom, my overall freedom of being able to set up my own schedule, to get up at 4 a.m. so I can go to sleep at 9 because I have these things and do interviews and these kind of things. So as long as my faith is in line, my family's good, my finances are good, and I don't like to say fans, but like the ecosystem, as long as everybody is taken care of, that is success for me. Because it starts with those things, because it's not about me. I'm a very selfless person when it comes to my intentions. Now, my actions might be selfish, but you have to be a little selfish with your time, with your energy, with your resources, not from the level of scarcity of like, oh, if I give so much time to somebody, if I share somebody's stuff, not with that, but I have to be selfish with those things so I can propel the other things forward, so I can make sure my family's straight, so I can make sure that my friends got the resources when I establish connections, so that way, like when I have kids, that they will be comfortable. They don't have to deal with the set of circumstances that I had to deal with, things like that. So that's success for me, is relaxed, but progressing. Relaxed, but progressing. That's my definition of success for myself. Now, for other artists, I would say that to be a successful artist without the corporate approach of like, okay, you have to be selling this many records and you have to have this many followers. Those things are great for the business side of it. Yes, those things matter. It's not like, oh, it's all about the art, dude. I mean, like, yes, it is about the art, but this is a music business, right? This is not just music hobby. You know, like we don't be saying music hobby. You know, like if it's a music hobby, then you have a different set of requirements for success. But to be a successful artist in the general sense, yes, the numbers play a part, but having the ability to express yourself on any platform, whether it be digitally or in person, is successful. You are sharing your music with others. If you were just to make music and then just hold on to it forever, that wouldn't be any kind of success besides expression, an outlet. But if you want to be a successful musical artist, success, since I can't define everybody's individual success, is just sharing your music and just put it out there. If you got stuff in the vault, put it out there. You know, like that's a big thing. Just release it, drop it. If it feels right, drop it.
Yeah, you can't get no plays if it's sitting on your hard drive.
Exactly. You might have a lottery ticket in that hard drive. So, you know.
You never know what'll pop off. That's for sure. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since you were mentioning, you know, family and everything, how is it like? Is it a challenge for you to balance your time with family, love life, studio time, all that? Do you have any tips for that?
It isn't difficult for me to do it right now, but it's because I've laid down the foundation. I've communicated with my friends, with my family, with my partner. I've communicated with them, hey, these are the things that I am attending to. This is one of my priorities, right? I'm not saying this is above you, because when it comes, let me tell you guys right now, artists, if you guys are watching this, I'm pretty sure you guys are. If you have a lot of conflicting things with your partner when it comes to your music and your career and your passion, your business you're building is going to become the other woman or the other guy. Like that's just going to be a thing. They're going to feel like they're second to your music, to your whatever, your dreams or whatever. So communication is key when it comes to every relationship, when it comes to setting up something like this, or when it comes to your work. And if you're trying to get a promotion, communication is important with your relationships, friendships. So I've set the foundation. Communicating is number one. Second to that is following up and making the time, carving out the time. Okay, from this time to this time, I'm doing this for myself. You treat it like a business. Okay, I'm going to get up, I'm going to do this for my own personal self, and I'm going to work on music. And you keep people in the loop and you follow through.
So we would just discussed balancing time.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's a big challenge for an artist. What would you say is the biggest challenge for you as an artist thus far in your career?
Biggest challenge is probably just capturing somebody's attention and keeping it for a long period of time, right? So between songs, between single releases and music videos and all these different things that we do to market ourselves. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me, is like capturing somebody's attention and holding it. And that might be a me thing. I think if you approach it like, oh, they just sleeping on my stuff, that's already the issue. So it does start with me. Maybe I have to make better music. Maybe I have to make better cover art. Maybe it's better videos or better quality videos, whatever it is. So I'm going to start with me. But then it would be like, okay, maybe it's just people are, so used to short form content, like very small answers and scrolling on TikTok or whatever it is for 15 seconds and scrolling. So it might be that too. Maybe it's a mixture of both.
Oh yeah. Okay. I know that's pretty common. I've thrown that out there. Like that's a big reason why people don't necessarily stick around is the short form attention span now.
Right.
But that's definitely a good way to look at it, where you bring the focus back onto you. Like is it my music? Is it this? Is it that? So that way you're not putting the blame on your, not necessarily fans, but the ecosystem, as you say.
Yeah.
So that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
Okay. So now speaking on the whole ecosystem, like around here, I'm curious on your thoughts on the local scene and how it's changed since you've entered it.
Okay. So when I entered the scene back in 2015 is when I was started to be active and put out music. 2014 is when I started to scout. But back then it was bigger. The togetherness of like people coming out for shows like on a random Wednesday was more of a thing from my perspective. It seemed like there was a lot more action, a lot more activity. But as the years have kind of progressed, it does seem to have thinned out a little bit. Less people show up to shows. But the ones that do show up, I mean, they're having a good time. I mean, they're there. Whenever I can throw an event together or host or be a part of an event when somebody invites me, I try to make sure that everybody there is having a good time. I'm just attending to them and being grateful for their presence there. So the difference that I can see from when I started to now is that there's less people at shows, but that's going to change very soon. We're going to make that not a thing. It's going to be a thing of the past. Moving forward, we're going to come together. We're going to have parties. We're going to shake it up a little bit. People are going to have time. People are going to come out and eat and drink, water or beverages, whatever you guys want. I don't promote alcohol or any kind of drugs like that, but eat some water and we can get you some pizza if you guys want that. But you guys are going to come through and we're going to have parties this coming year. So
I feel like the whole COVID thing kind of chopped that as well, killed the numbers of as far as attendance, and then now we're still kind of slowly getting back into it. So that might help now that we're getting normalizing and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, COVID really did do its number on a lot of things, and 2020 was truly something different. Something not only because of something like a pandemic, but there was something that happened that year for all of us in some way, shape, or form, whether it be at the beginning or at the tail end. For me, it was a little bit of both. I lost my uncle in February, and then in October, I broke my leg in 7 different places. So 2020 did put a damper in a lot of things, especially in the scene, but yeah.
Are you, I don't know if you subscribe to conspiracy theories, but that whole year with 2020, so the whole CERN thing and whatnot for that year, I don't know if you subscribe to any of that and how the parallel shift or universe
the pandemic or which one?
Well, we got the pandemic conspiracy, but then you got the CERN, I think it was 2020 where the Higgs boson particle was discovered as well.
Oh, yeah.
The CERN experiments, and people believe that we basically shifted realities.
Yeah, I mean, I don't subscribe to it in the way that you said it right then, but I don't let anything get in my head that I don't like. I mean, I'm not going to talk to myself in negative ways. I'm not going to think negatively. I'm not going to speak it out negatively. So when this happened, I was like, oh shit, something is happening. This did happen for a reason. But I think it always happens like that. It just happens at different times in our life. That one just so happened to be for everybody.
So you practice mindfulness then, kind of like watching your thoughts and blocking the negative, keeping positive only type things.
Yeah, but it's human. It's human to have those feelings of sadness, anger. They're like clouds in the sky. They'll pass. You'll have one feeling, that one will pass through, and you'll have a different feeling, a different experience, different whatever. But yeah, I am very, very mindful of what I say to myself, what I say to others. What I feel like, just really observing when I'm feeling a certain way, why am I feeling this way? Just being in control.
Sure. So expanding on that, I'm curious, it's a kind of a 2-part question. Like, what's one thing you would go back to tell yourself? And then with the mindfulness in mind, what would you say, or what advice would you give to younger or upcoming artists that may be dealing with self-doubt issues, or their music's not taking off the way they want, so they're beating themselves up?
I would start by saying, hey, what I'm going to say to you may not work. It may not work. I am not an optometrist. I cannot prescribe you the glasses that work for me, but I'm going to tell you my piece of advice. And I would say that when you feel like you can't create, when you feel like your music isn't taking off, when you feel like you're not making any money off this, like nobody's likes what I'm doing, you have to address all those things from its core. You're seeking validation. You're seeking approval from others of like, people need to mess with my music and people aren't liking it and people aren't buying my merch. And when you put the issue out there, that's the issue itself. You have to address it within yourself and be content with just creating. You have to be happy enough to just get behind the microphone, pick up a pen and pad, and write and express yourself first and foremost. It is the music business, the business side of it I've already covered. But when it just comes to creating, and if you're in a rut and if you feel like you have writer's block, it's because you're blocking yourself. Something about you is not in alignment with your mission, with your purpose in life. That's the reason why you get writer's block. But I would say just to summarize it and pull it back, it's okay if you feel that way, and I'm sorry that you're feeling that way, that you feel doubt, but you got this. Keep going. Like, you got this. You know, like, it may not be where you wanted to be, but you got to keep going. You got to keep going.
On that same mindset, what would you tell yourself if you go back to your start? You know, what advice would you give you?
I would keep it very simple. I wouldn't give myself any piece of advice because I wouldn't change who I am. If I was to go back and alter anything, then I would not be who I am now. Maybe I wouldn't be as mindful. All those little things change who a person is. You know, words are powerful. So I would just go back and say, as a standard, you know, my hood up and everything, you're dope, kid. Keep doing your thing. And that's it. I wouldn't change anything about who that person was. I wouldn't try to change it a single bit. I want you to feel it. I want you to feel those emotions and figure it out. Like I did. I figured it out. So I wouldn't tell myself anything. He's out of luck.
Yeah, to figure it out. That's dope,
that
though.
Shit out, kid.
I fuck with that answer. I like that.
Yeah.
What would you say thus far in your career is your personal crowning achievement? Something like you're super stoked about, you're proud of, that you did or achieved?
Going on tour. I mean, that was my first real tour. You know, it was Nevada, California, Oregon, Idaho, but it was like 2 to 3 cities each state. I mean, and it was like me driving, you know, like 30 plus hours driving everywhere, you know, sleeping in the vehicle sometimes catching an Airbnb by the ocean or sleeping in a Motel 6 where there's like nasty walls and cockroaches everywhere. That would be, you know, the best experience that I've had up to this point. But there's a lot of little moments like that. Those are the big moments. The little things are the big things.
Shit, yeah. That's a good way to look at
Yeah.
it. Where do you think you'd be if you never got into music? What do you think you'd be doing?
Probably being a manager for one of these artists, you know, managing somebody.
Yeah, you know, I was gonna say, you might have just ended up right back in music.
Right? An accountant of people.
Oh, yeah, being an investor or something like that along those lines.
Right.
I know you're a prolific writer, so I'm curious on if you have any tips for upcoming artists on writing. Is there a form that you have, like a formula for your writing, or a specific spot or music that you throw on to write, or anything like that? Any tips? So
writing tips, my approach is the beat needs to come first. Like I need to have a beat that speaks to me and literally speaks. And you're a musician yourself, so you know, as far as like a certain sound sounds a certain way that sounds like a word. And like if you listen to the beat over and over again, you'll hear the words. But if you're playing the beat over and over again and it's not hitting and nothing's firing, next beat. Because like if you're trying to force this square into a circle, it might fit, but it's not going to be the same outcome that you want. So go off your feeling. If it feels right, start writing. It may turn into something that you enjoy and it may not, but you got to at least try. I'm not a person that has a set schedule as far as like my writing. Oh, I write in the morning, I write in the afternoon. I would prefer it to be in the morning, but not all my inspiration comes in the morning as soon as I wake up. I have a lot of things I have to do. So I do those things, and it might just be me playing a beat that I put together while I'm ironing clothes. You get the most inspiration from the things. It's like the law of least effort, right? So if you're ironing clothes, you'll get an inspiration. If you're in the shower, thinking about the BPM of that beat or that melody, you might think of that word. Oh, shit, now I can write that word down, boom, boom. And then, just like always have a pen and a pad handy or a waterproof phone or something like that. So that way you can be in the shower and be able to like write down, oh shit, write that down real quick or whatever it is. But sometimes if you're not getting results when you're actively trying, sometimes just let it play in the background. Your subconscious mind is always trying to figure it out for you. If you set something out to yourself, like, hey, I'm going to finish this song, your mind is like, okay, you're trying to figure out ways to do it. So you set it out there, play the beat in the background, iron some clothes, clean your room, which you should be doing anyways, fucking whatever, So you're doing it, play in the background, and just bob your head. If it feels right, write it down. If not, do something else.
Gotcha. All right. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good tip. Where can people peep your work? Where can everybody check you out as far as social medias and then your platforms?
So the main place you can check me out will be just TonyGmusic.com. So TNYGmusic.com. That's where I have my music videos, my music, my merchandise, and then I also have services on there of mixing, mastering, producing, and collaborations. So if anybody wants a collaboration with me, I keep those very limited. So you're already on an exclusive list. If you work with me, that's great. Most times it's out of love, but if you respect my pen and you respect what I bring to the table, and I'm not going to turn away the money. So it comes, and you'll get definitely one of my best pieces at that moment right back to your email. So you can find me there. If you're just a regular consumer, you can find me on everything else, YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, under Tony G, again, pronounced Tony G, but spelled TNYG, no spaces. Yeah, you can find me on those things.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Do you have any, like a specific message for your, well, as you said, not fans, but for the ecosystem, for the people that support you and everything like that?
I love you guys. Super grateful. Many things coming, not just this next year, but every year that I am alive, I'm going to give it 100%. And if you guys need anything from me, if there's a little business a small business that you need me to support, if you need advice or whatever it is, reach out. I'm DM away. I'm more than happy to speak, obviously. So I'll speak, but first I'll listen. So if you guys need me to help you in some way, let me help you. I'm here for that. I'm here to help.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I think we'll call it there, man.
Yeah, you're not gonna ask me who my top 5 are or what?
Oh, well, let's
top 10,
best for
top
last.
30.
So we'll say best for last. So yeah, we'll go top 5 overall and top 5 local. So,
okay, top 5 overall will be Drake, Mike, Russ, Nas, and J. Cole. Those are my 5 for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's your top 5 overall. Now I'm curious on the top 5 local.
Top 5 local. All right. So I will say that these 5 are just the people that I see working the most from my, where I can see, right, on social media, in person, at the shows. These are the top 5 that I see actively working, but I have a longer list, and I'll name those too. So the top, like in no specific order, just top 5, right?
Right.
Would be Skilly Waves would be on that list. That's 1. Let me just write this off because I have a list here.
For sure.
Skilly Waves, Poons, Conquest, Ace Flow, and let's take a look at what would be the next one. And Freedom Renegades. So that would be my top 5 active that I see consistently on my feed. So Skilly Waves, Conquest, Poons, Freedom Renegades, and Ace Flow active. Now we have, just to expand on that, we have Zero from Earthlings Entertainment. So like their whole collective is dope. So Zero. Los G is another dope one. Griffin House Music is another dope one. Superior One is veteran. He's always on the list. And then AC Delgado is another fire one. And I'm gonna keep it like that. There is one more person that I have on this list that I wanted to mention, but I won't do it just because I feel like they're not at the point where they need to hear this. They just need to keep doing what they're doing, and they'll get their roses, but privately, they'll get those roses privately.
For sure. Oh, that's a dope list. Hell yeah.
Shout out to Rapper Store. They've definitely been holding it down out here in the scene. A lot of big things coming from there. And again, just to mention again, where you can find me is at TonyGmusic.com, TNYGmusic.com.
All right. And happy holidays to everybody. Thanksgiving's tomorrow.
Yeah.
But,
All right. Cheers, guys. See you later.
Yep. Take care.
Peace.
Go hating on a player, same ones counting me out, they're gonna pay up. Look, my money stacked up, high Himalayas. When I walk by, look a fly, hard layers. Hey now, don't go hating on a player, same ones counting me out, they're gonna pay up. Look, my money stacked up, high Himalayas. When I walk by, look a fly, hard layers. Never break a sweat, only tripping on a jet. Going pedal to the metal when I'm taking off next. I'll guess that you didn't think I'd make it far yet. Jokes on you, should've made it off, yeah. Oh well, didn't do it, so boo-hoo.